What are the most common problems with the current generation Toyota Highlander, specifically the 2023 and newer non-hybrid with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine? In this video, we'll go over the most common complaints and frequently occurring problems, and take a look at the future reliability with the newer, smaller displacement turbo engines from Toyota. One of the most common complaints about the 2023 and newer Highlander is how it accelerates, especially when starting from a stop. It's not that the engine is underpowered, but some drivers experience a strange delay where you press the gas pedal, nothing happens for a moment, and then the car suddenly jumps forward. In other words, sometimes the gas pedal reacts normally, and once in a while it won't react the same way. In these cases, you might have to press halfway down on the pedal for it to react, at which point it lurches forward. This can be really frustrating and, more importantly, feel unsafe in traffic. Toyota has issued a TSB with a software update to address the issue, but you have to specifically request the fix at the dealer. And even then, the problem will often come back after a while as the car relearns its old habits. This isn't new for Toyota. Similar issues have appeared in other models before, and it seems they're still trying, or not trying, to fully resolve it. Since it's tied to software, you'd think it would be an easy fix, but they've had this problem to some degree in various models for at least 10 years. Most of the time, the car behaves normally, so it's not like it happens every time you go to accelerate, but it's like when you're relying on that predictable acceleration most, it acts up. Disconnecting the battery can temporarily clear the issue, but it usually returns over time. Drivers dealing with this lag say it can be nerve-wracking, especially when pulling out into traffic where predictable acceleration is crucial. The infotainment system hasn't been reliable for everyone. Some users report the screen freezing, rebooting randomly, or becoming unresponsive while driving. For instance, the backup camera might not turn on when shifting into reverse, with the screen turning black, requiring a system reboot to work again. Bluetooth connections can be spotty, and Apple CarPlay or Android Auto sometimes disconnect without warning. If you depend on your phone for navigation or music, these glitches can get pretty frustrating. Many of these issues appear to stem from software bugs or over-the-air updates that don't always install smoothly. While some owners have had success fixing problems through dealer software updates or hardware replacements, others are still waiting for more permanent solutions. And since the problems only happen sporadically, it's hard for the dealer to track them down. These kinds of tech troubles are becoming more and more common across all vehicles as electronics and infotainment systems get more complex. On the bright side, Toyota's safety sense features tend to be very reliable, with few reported odd behaviors or glitches, reliable and predictable adaptive cruise control, and other driver assistance features. Even though the Highlander's interior looks polished at first glance, some owners have noticed it doesn't always hold up once you start spending more time with it. The most common gripe is rattling, coming from the moonroof, dashboard, infotainment screen, or interior panels, especially on bumpy roads or in cold weather. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it sounds like something's loose and bouncing around inside the cabin. It's one of those things that's hard to unhear once you notice it. Some dealers are able to track it down and fix it, but it's not always a quick or easy process, and dealers are reluctant to track down these issues if it's a warranty repair. No one's expecting a full-on luxury interior, but those little creaks and buzzes can make the interior feel less solid than it should. It doesn't ruin the vehicle by any means, but it does chip away at the overall experience. The best way to deal with these noises is to handle them yourself. Grab some felt tape and foam, then start hunting the sounds down. Carefully remove the panels where you think the sound is coming from and use the materials to tighten things up and reduce movement. It's definitely a hassle, but as the owner, you're in a better position to track down those annoying rattles than a dealer who's never even driven the car. Plus, that's exactly what they do anyway, and if you go to them with 5 or 10 different rattles, they'd never be able to fix all of them. Once you fix all those noises, it's going to feel like a different car. A frequent problem with the Highlander is premature rotor warping, which often shows up as vibration or shaking when braking, especially at highway speeds or during long downhill stretches. Some owners have reported this happening with as little as 5 to 15,000 miles on the odometer. The issue usually starts with a slight pulsing in the brake pedal and can progress to noticeable steering wheel shimmy or body vibration during braking. It's typically blamed on excessive heat buildup in the rotors, sometimes made worse by sudden exposure to moisture, like driving through a puddle right after heavy braking. While some dealerships have resurfaced or replaced the rotors under warranty, others blame it on driving habits and just refuse to cover it. But in most cases, it really has nothing to do with the way the car was driven. Most people just switch to higher quality aftermarket rotors and pads, especially ones designed to handle heat better, because in reality, the pads and rotors should last a long time. A lot of people have been pretty frustrated and honestly a bit nervous about Toyota ditching their ultra-reliable V6 and going with a smaller 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder instead. The V6 had a reputation for being smooth and extremely long-lasting, so it's no surprise people raised their eyebrows when the Highlander switched engines. Turbochargers mean more complication with more parts and extra heat, which can make some people worry about more repairs or issues down the line. So far, the new 2.4-liter turbo engine has been holding up really well. Toyota first started using it around 2021 in some Lexus models, and then brought it to the Highlander in 2023. Early feedback from owners and reliability reports haven't shown any real problems to speak of, and it seems to be a solid engine with good power while still being reliable, at least up until this point. Of course, it's still fairly new tech for the Highlander, so we don't have long-term results as of yet, but the overall data is positive. Plus, Toyota's not just sticking this 2.4-liter turbo engine in the Highlander, they're using it across a bunch of their newer models, like the Lexus NX, RX, and even the Tacoma pickup with slight tweaks. Because it's showing up in so many different vehicles, Toyota is betting on this engine for the long haul. They know that if it starts having problems, it could really spoil the reputation for all of these models. That means they've likely put a lot of thought into making sure it's built to last, not just for a few years, but well into the future. When a company uses the same engine across multiple popular models, it usually means they expect it to be reliable and durable enough to handle a wide range of driving needs. So if Toyota is going to keep this turbo 4-cylinder in their lineup for years to come, longevity has to be a top priority in its design and engineering. Consumer Reports gives the 2023 Highlander an overall reliability rating of average, while the 2024 model sees a boost with a much better than average rating. For the 2023 version, the powertrain earned better than average marks, and that includes all engine-related areas, like performance, major and minor engine issues, and transmission reliability. The 2024 model continues that trend, also scoring better than average in the same engine-related categories. So far, there haven't been any consistent or widespread reliability issues across either year, which points to a solid track record for the newer engine setup. Consumer Reports predicts that the Highlander's long-term reliability will outperform nearly every other vehicle in its class, giving it a strong predicted reliability score of 65. That puts it ahead of key competitors, which mostly still use V6s, like the Honda Pilot, the Hyundai Palisade, Chevy Traverse, and Subaru Ascent. Now, the number one key to keeping these vehicles running strong, especially ones with small turbocharged engines, is staying on top of routine maintenance. That's what really makes the difference in how long a car lasts. While Toyota officially recommends oil changes every 10,000 miles, there's some fine print that often gets overlooked. If you dig into it, they mention that under special driving conditions, you should actually change the oil around every 5,000 miles. That includes things like frequent short trips, stop-and-go traffic, long periods of idling, extreme hot or cold weather, towing, hauling cargo, or carrying a lot of passengers. Truthfully, most people fall into at least one of those categories without even realizing it. Personally, I wouldn't wait more than 5,000 miles between oil changes no matter how gentle the driving is. Turbo engines are harder on oil, and once it starts breaking down, it can do real damage, especially to the turbochargers. On top of that, it's just as important to change other fluids too, like the transmission fluid, transfer case, and differential fluids. A lot of people assume these can last the life of a car, but letting them go too long can lead to expensive repairs later. Regular oil changes is what keeps engines, especially modern turbocharged ones, running well for a long time. Engine oil and other fluid changes are the most important thing you can do to prolong the life of your car. These problems aren't really anything to be concerned about. Not every Highlander is going to have these issues. They're just the most common problems with these cars, which isn't much. If you look at some of the most frequent problems of other cars out there, you'd realize that this is practically nothing. Up until this point, and hopefully continuing forward, Highlanders are not only one of the most reliable SUVs you can buy, they're one of the most reliable cars you can buy, period.